Hi everyone, and welcome to another beautiful Friday edition of Sports Tech X Weekly. This is episode number 58. It is actually a really nice day. I'm really looking forward to the summer in Berlin. And as usual, I have some really cool sports tech news to bring to you. And actually, this week it is quite cool. There were a bunch of really nice stories, really interesting stories beyond your typical, oh, what is Apple doing and what are the top funding news. But that said, we will start with the top funding news as we usually do. So let's jump right in. All right. Let me adjust my format. There we go. Okay. First up is a couple of funding stories from India. There are esports companies, NODWIN Gaming, who raised 28 million. NODWIN is a services provider. They do a bunch of things from organizing tournaments to connecting brands and doing sponsorship for esports. They do a bunch of stuff, but they just raised 28 million, so not an insignificant sum. Who's it from? Krafton. The company's valued at 135 million. That was last year, sorry. Value increased to 325 million. And the values increased to 325 million before the funding and 349 after. This got a little confused there for a second, but that is NODWIN based out of India. Next up is a company that we know quite well that we've actually featured on our podcast. I've had Piyush on the show, and this is Router. They raised a round of 16 million led by Lightbox. Router is a gaming streaming company. They're a platform where gamers can stream and audience can connect with streamers. Router and Loco are the two big leaders of this segment in India. Loco has attracted really good capital from Europe, and now, well, so has Router, I should say. Lightbox leading this present round. Moving swiftly on, most celebrities getting into sports. We've got Tomorrow Sports, of course. We have what they do exactly, but they still continue to raise a ton of money. And this time, Justin getting the musical tones in tech. There's a whole host of celebrities that have been investing in Tomorrow Sports. Shaquille O'Neal, Dwayne Wade, Serena Williams, Justin Timberlake, and the list goes on and on, apart from some institutional investors. They present themselves as a media entertainment play. We haven't disclosed how much this round is, but it's another bit of funding news. Speaking of a couple of acquisition deals, we've got Fanatics, who have consolidated their collectibles position with an acquisition of PWCC. Now, these are an old-time collectibles player. They've been around a while, and they, along with their 125 employees, a large shop here, they will be going as part of Fanatics' collectibles family. Fanatics, of course, had acquired Tops recently. They've also divested from Candy Digital, moving a bit away from, I think they divested about 60%. They moved away from Web3, but they are still interested in collectibles. This is a segment that continues to gain traction, especially at Fanatics. Their current Fanatics trading cards subsidiary is worth $10.4 billion of their last $350 million funding round. Fanatics themselves at the last funding round, which was $700 million in December last year, was worth $31 billion. So a third of the company, pretty sizable, is coming from the collectibles division. Last up, we have a funding round for Betr. This is another sports betting book, sports book, this time by Jake Paul, famously of the Paul brothers. Logan, his brother, who's branched out into so many things, you have to call them sports entertainment athletes or whatever. Logan Paul has been part of the WWE. He's talked about the UFC for a while. He's, of course, Jake and him have been boxing for a while. Jake Paul set up a betting platform called Betr, and they acquired Chameleon for $7.45 million, which is partly in cash and 40% in stock. All right. So that is a bunch of funding news. Next up, we have a nice story from McLaren, which, let me just close all these windows here. So McLaren set up a school to train women to enter technology in sports. Really interesting use case. It's not your typical sports tech story that I like to cover, but I wanted to highlight this one. They announced an all-fem STEM program to inspire next generation, all-female, STEM program to inspire next generation of talent. What is STEM? For those of you who might not know, this is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So this is, they will invite 60 girls, they're not sure what age. So I don't know if this is, it says here, sorry, age 18 to 23. So this is post your graduation or maybe alongside your undergraduation, to participate in a series of master classes focusing on a specific area of expertise. They will also be provided mentorship by McLaren and their partners. And this application will be open starting in a couple of days, 29th May, for a few weeks. This is primarily based out of the UK, I should say. So I don't know if it's unclear from the article if it's only for UK citizens or anybody in the world can apply. But I would think that if you're a young woman who's interested in technology and sports, or just wants to, I should specify, it's not clear that this is exclusively sports focused. It is STEM focused: science, technology, engineering, and math. So the applications could be elsewhere as well. So I would encourage you to apply to this program. That is McLaren's initiative. Next up, we have a program or an offering by the French Open, which actually I really quite enjoyed. So the French Open organizers are using AI to filter online abuse against players at the French Open. So it is effectively like a bodyguard, it says, but this is an offer, by the way. This is an opt-in for the players. Not all players all players will have it available by default, but they have to subscribe or opt in for the service. Is using AI technology. Bodyguard is the name of the application, which aims to filter out abusive comments on social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. But Bodyguard can moderate comments in real time with blah, 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 less than 200 milliseconds. The idea is to take care of players' mental health. And how they do this, they use AI, which will identify certain words, certain comments strung together, word patterns, etc., to identify what exactly constitutes abuse or hateful content or comments. The mental health of players is a priority for the Roland Garros tournament. Really cool initiative. I quite like this story. I think, again, a good use of AI. Maybe there is a soft argument for free speech infringement, but I wouldn't make that argument, and I don't think it's a valid one. If there is active hate speech, which has nothing to do with, I mean, you can complain about a player making a bad decision or playing a bad shot or something, but if abuse gets personal against players' families or themselves, including threats of violence or beyond, that is certainly not acceptable. And it is good that such content should be filtered out, perhaps automatically by these platforms, but certainly the French Open is taking steps to prevent that it reaches the players. Okay, next up, story number 2, we have a golf innovation center, a state-of-the-art innovation, says, at First Tee, Greater Richmond's Belmont Golf Course. I'm not really sure where that is. I believe, I should have put off my ad blocker. But either way, the Innovation Center is a nice initiative to, again, promote STEM education by CapTech and First Tee. They will help provide resources to young people and also golfers who are looking to improve their skills. So there's a putting clinic, a par 3 challenge, and a tour of the center, which is what has happened at the opening event. This is a dedicated space for First Tee participants to explore and learn from golf technologies which they would not have access to. So you can imagine that there would be some pretty cool golf techs, maybe some wearable devices, interesting driving ranges or virtual ranges, stuff like that can help people especially young people, their efforts are to impact the lives of young people while ensuring that Belmont remains a place where everyone can find a connection to golf. So keeping it local in that geography in the Greater Richmond, but also with a focus of helping the move golf as a sport forward. And golf, as we've seen with the story earlier in the show about tomorrow sports, is clearly a sport overall which is taking a serious look at technology. That is the second story. Our top story of the week is a smart ball set to debut at the Rugby Under-20 World Cup, World Championship. This is in conjunction with a company called Sportable, one that we've actually featured on this show a few times. And Gilbert is another company, I believe which is the ball manufacturer. So what will this smart ball do? The idea of the smart ball is to not so much aid broadcasters or players and such, it is more to help referees. So what will it help referees on? It will help referees define what is a forward pass or a throw forward, where a ball goes out of touch, so to make sure the play restarts from the correct position, whether it's touch in flight, whether there are deflections. Of course, the most important, arguably, is whether it goes over a try line or not, and also if a line-out throw is straight or not. These are important rules in rugby. Rugby is known to be quite supportive of the officials in the sport. They don't get as much abuse as, say, football does. And this is another step in that direction. So kudos to World Rugby. And hopefully this trial will continue. And I'd be curious to see the results. And maybe it'll reach the senior men's game as well. All right, that is a wrap for all the stories. On honorable mention to the AO Startups program. They've just opened their second round for applications. And applications are open currently until 5th June. If you don't know what AO Startups is, it is the program, accelerator program by Tennis Australia and Wildcard Ventures, which is basically all part of Tennis Australia and the Australian Open. So if you have a racket sports based startup, you should be applying here. Okay, that is a wrap for all the stories. What else do we have? We recently had our webinar for our sports tech, global sports tech ecosystem report. Check that out if you haven't already. And of course, you can download the report right here. All right, that is a wrap for another episode. See you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. Ciao.